If teaming up in social accountability really isn't your thing or isn't your thing quite yet, then this is the lesson for you. This is the 6th lesson in the R module of the HARP framework, a part of the Antidote course that you've been watching for hopefully multiple days now. This is check yourself, monitoring your progress to stay accountable. What gets measured gets managed. This was said by Peter Drucker, who is a management guru. So in this module, we will be going over a few ways that you can keep yourself accountable and keep yourself on track. A lot of these ways are very simple and very built in to probably the devices that you already have and possibly the device that you're using to watch me right now. I always think the simplest things are best. I don't need to go through a whole entire list of ways to stay accountable because at the end of the day, it really comes down to how bad do you want it. But there are tools at our fingertips pretty much at all times for relatively no cost or free that we can use to keep us on track. And I'm going to go over just a few of them here. One of them I've already talked about and you already know, but I would love to highlight a couple of these ways for you right now. So let's get into it. Tracking and monitoring your screen time. You may have heard of this app. It's called OneSec, and I'll tell you about it in a little bit. But out of the multitude of choices there are for screen time monitors, the best ones are often the simplest and easiest to use / implement. So OneSec is this amazing company that I had the fortune of coming across almost a year ago now, and this is not a sponsored part of this course. This is literally just me highlighting maybe one of the best screen time trackers and apps out there. It's called OneSec. It's one word, OneSec. I'll write it down here for you. OneSec. And I believe it's just for iOS at this point, but it does an awesome job of a couple of things. It is a very cool way to get out of distracting apps in a way that really does improve your life. Basically, the basis of it is you set it up by defining the apps that you want to block yourself from, and it works with iOS's shortcuts. And every time you tap on, let's say Instagram, it'll open Instagram for a second, but that'll trigger an iOS shortcut that'll open up OneSec, which gives you any amount of exercises that you can imagine. There is a paid version, but there's also a free version. Basically, these exercises can be taking a deep breath, looking away from the phone, basically just a bunch of stuff that makes you feel way better about not being on Instagram. It's an amazing way to remind yourself what is actually important, which in general isn't going on social media. So I highly suggest OneSec. Again, this isn't even remotely sponsored. This whole course is sponsored by me. That's the only sponsor. Screen Time is a great app also on iOS. Just plug in your normal screen time setting, and that's found by going to the settings and adjusting the screen time controls. You can adjust which apps have limits. I have a 45-minute limit set on my Instagram and social media in general. It warns me when there's 5 minutes left, and then it kicks me out after those 5 minutes are up. And that has done an amazing job at keeping myself accountable with something that's so simple that's already built in to my phone. Even though you can say, remind me in 15 minutes, there's something amazing about seeing those apps and seeing those social media apps grayed out on your home screen or in your app library. You can obviously open it if you want to, but there's a few extra tabs, but there's something so visual about just seeing them faded out. And it really does a lot to reduce my screen time. My screen time on average now is down to about an hour and 15, hour and a half per week. And it's just because of that. I don't use OneSec as often as I once did. I've just tried to be more mindful about really using the stuff that's already built into my iPhone. If you have an Android, I know that there's parental controls or screen time controls as well. There are also many ways to limit these apps within the apps themselves. I know Instagram just implemented a screen time checker and a screen time reminder within the app, and TikTok, because of literally how addictive it is designed to be and how much science there is behind how addictive it is, has introduced ways to limit your time, especially if you're a parent and you've got a kid, but also if you just want to be more mindful about how you spend your time on TikTok. So it's really not about the tools that you use, but it's about seeking out the tools that are already there. Kind of is the same adage as, if you're a photographer trying to get better photography, it is not the gear 9 times out of 10, it's not the gear that makes you better. It is the photographer, and it's understanding composition and color and lighting. And it's not so much just buying a new camera that'll make you, an amazing photographer. So in this case, it's not the apps that will make you more mindful about your screen time. It's you. It's the person watching this video right now. It is you actively seeking out ways to use what you already have at your fingertips to improve your life. But if you do actively seek out an app, I suggest OneSec. It's very good. It's really, really good. It also gives you these reports. You can see how many attempts per week you made, and then it conflates that and compares it to, over the course of a given amount of time. You can see all these charts. It's very cool. I highly suggest OneSec if you were to get any app and don't want to use the stock screen time stuff. The next one here is all about tracking, tools and techniques for tracking. Again, there's literally too many apps that track habits to list out. So keeping your system simple allows for a higher likelihood of them sticking in an effective way throughout your journey towards a more mindful experience. If I were to list every habit tracking app, we'd be here for days probably. But using the habit tracker that I've provided in the guided journal is an amazing place to start. In fact, adapting this tracker to your own situation is much more encouraged, because it really does encourage you to think critically about the habits that you have and the habits that you want to make progress on. I can give you as many templates as I want for free or as part of this course, but it really does, again, come down to how bad do you want it. I highly encourage you to partake in the process of writing down your habits. When I say writing down, I mean really actually writing them down with a good old-fashioned pen and paper, because that's what helps stick them in your mind way better. It helps you ritualize a process. If you have a certain time or part of the day that you write down your progress in your habit tracker and record your progress, it's a great way to sort of build a routine, which again, the whole goal here is to build systems, not routines. And the last one here is make time in your day to reflect on it and to really not necessarily write things down, but just to look back at all the progress or lack thereof that you've made in order to make a more informed approach going forward. So use the habit tracker that is most convenient for you. There are so many online, but I gave you one for free in this course, and you're welcome to use this format because they all sort of do the same thing. They track habits. It's not about the apps. It's about your willingness to sacrifice time in order to make yourself better. And you can put that on my tombstone, among other things. I got to work out that with the guy who's writing my will. Anyway, this is a concept that James Clear brings up in his book, Atomic Habits, and it's also probably something that many other high-performing CEOs have brought up in their lives as well. CEOs forget to meditate, nutritionists eat unhealthy meals, artists loaf around in bed all day and ignore their craft. These people are human, just like you and just like me. To mess up is human, and to not be perfect is human. In fact, life would be so much more boring if we were all perfect, because there would be no unexpectancy. And we already know from the pigeon experiment from a module before, or I suppose a few lessons before, that unpredictability is what drives dopamine. And if used in the wrong way, it can be used to hijack your dopamine. But unpredictability and imperfections are what make us who we are today. And that is a defining trait of human beings. So it's okay to mess up. Here's the thing. If you've got 7 days in a week represented here by these check boxes, and you showed up this day and you did all the stuff that you wanted to do, and then you showed up this day and then this day and then this day, but maybe you miss Friday because who knows, maybe you want to go out and have some drinks with some friends, but then you show up Saturday and Sunday. Hey, this is a completely okay situation to be in. But when it becomes a problem is when this occurs, is when there are 2 boxes that remain unchecked. All of a sudden, this is not a simple misstep in your journey. This is a new habit forming. So I just want to write this down because it's so important. Miss twice, a new habit. Oops. A new habit forms. This is something crazy to keep in mind because it's such a visceral reminder of how aware you need to be of missing. I take breaks all the time. I have since a few weeks ago taken a break from posting every day on Instagram. And that is a mindful choice that I've made. I've posted every single day for multiple years in my life now, and it's just time to not do that. But if you're missing twice on a habit that you're actively trying to build, all of a sudden it is a pattern that needs to be stopped because it will continue. What separates elite performers from everyone else? It's not perfection. It's consistency. This is why the most important thing to do is to not prevent mistakes altogether, but to avoid making a mistake twice in a row, because that, again, is a new pattern. This is a pattern here. It's a pattern of consistency that we don't want to keep up. So practice being resilient, practice not missing, but also practice giving yourself a break. It's okay. It's okay to take a breather once in a while, and it's okay to indulge and to do what you want if it truly is outside of the realm of the habits that you're building. But if you do that twice in a row, and the emphasis is on twice in a row, or even 2 times within close proximity of one another, that is when you should start worrying. So try not to miss twice in a row, but also recognize that it's okay to be a human, because that's really, at the end of the day, all we are. So now that we can see how far we've come, it's time to celebrate. And I'd like to, before we move on to the next and last lesson in the R module, reference the journal. So pull out the journal and flip to check yourself, monitor your progress to stay accountable. Set some daily goals for your journey towards cultivating a more mindful approach to phone use. How will you celebrate these achievements? One of the ways that I like celebrating, and that we'll talk about in the next lesson, is simply vegging out on the couch. And that can mean watching a movie with Lexi or just watching a bunch of YouTube videos. It's okay, again, to allow yourself to A, make a mistake, or B, just relax and treat that as a reward for all the hard work that you've done. I'm giving you permission to reward yourself and to not beat yourself up every single day for just making habits that ultimately will improve your life. But if you need to take a break, that's totally fine. And then next, use the screen time tracker that we're providing for you in the guided journal to track your progress and to implement into your own life and to make your own. So those were some questions on the lesson we just went through. Check yourself. Next up, we've got a real treat. Spoiler alert, it's called Treat Yourself. We decided to have Check Yourself and Treat Yourself back to back. It only makes sense. So I'll see you in the next lesson where we talk about all the ways that you can reward yourself for making amazing progress. So thanks for being here, and I'll see you in just a second.